Hello. You're very welcome to this episode of My Generation Gap podcast, where you have me, Stuart Vincent Moore, a 50-year-old member of Generation X, talking art, media, pop culture, telly, film, with my 18-year-old niece, Harriet Pilkington, a member of Generation Z.
Gen Z.
Oh, yeah, Gen Z. Gen Z, yeah. Hiya, H, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've had a fairly busy week, but I've just noticed that I look very
Busy week?
ghostly in my camera. So, in fact, we both look very ghostly.
We both look very good. We can't get our lighting right.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out
It's
for next
with
time.
I think it's with the lights changing on the evening that it's messed up all our lighting, so we just look really ghostly.
Oh, never mind the lighting. I can't get my hair right either. But listen, we're going to change it a little bit up this week because we're not going to ramble on for ages.
Yeah.
I think we should get on down to talk about what we're here to talk about, and then we'll ramble on later.
Yeah.
Because this week, H, we're here to talk about The Karate Kid.
Yes.
I just want to say this, H. I've watched Karate Kid. I mean, I've watched it loads of times in
Yeah.
life, but watching it recently just made me reflect on a few things. So, with happiness comes sadness. With pleasure comes pain. You cannot have one without the other. I mean, that's nothing to do with the film, H. That's what my mum used to say to me when she'd give me an ice cream and then punch me in the stomach.
I can picture that. Joking.
Yeah, because, dear listener, Harriet's grandma is
Yeah.
my mum. Because
Do you know
Harriet's
what
mum is my sister.
That's a bit like having gallstones. That like if you have pleasure in eating something and happiness, after comes pain and sadness.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other.
But that was one of the things that Mr. Miyagi
Yes.
said in the film The Karate Kid. He was full of lots of wisdom in it. And a lot of things like this would, when I'd hear things like that in films, I'd roll my eyes. But actually, a lot of what Mr. Miyagi says is really quite sensible. I really quite like it.
I agree with you there, actually. A lot of things he said just made sense.
So we follow Daniel LaRusso. He is being torn away from his home in Newark, New Jersey. Because his mum's got a new job on the west coast of the States. So the film starts off, doesn't it? And for the first 6 minutes, it's just them moving out.
I was about to say, did we really need to see the whole car journey from A to B? Like, could they not have just been unloading boxes? Or, like, could they've cut that out at least? I feel like there is quite a lot of filler in this film. Some necessary and some unnecessary.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be... It's not going to fit my criteria, is it, of being a perfect film?
Yeah, we're not getting a perfect film out of this.
We're not getting a perfect film. I think we're getting a very good film. We'll see what you think later. Yeah, not a perfect film by any stretch. It's 2 hours long.
It's 2 hours long.
And this is a generational thing, isn't it? Because I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, when I was like 15, or whenever I watched this film,
yeah,
how come I didn't get bored?
Yeah,
watching this film?
I think, like we talk about sometimes, it's that attention span that nowadays you watch reels, you do think things are very fast and, well, everything's fast, isn't it? Fast fashion, fast food, that I think we get so used to it that when we have to sit down and watch a film, you're like, oh, just cut to the chase. And it ruins the fun out of, I suppose, what films used to be. Because I remember watching films even when I was little and thinking, oh, that went dead quick, that. And now I would say 9 times out of 10 when I watch a film, I think, this is long.
But it was nice because although like the first 6 minutes is them just moving house from New Jersey to Newark to LA, we do get insights into the relationship that Daniel LaRusso has with his mum. Yeah. We get to see that they're a single parent family. We get to see that they're in a battered old car that they have to jump start all the time.
What job did she move all the way to LA for? I think she went from working in computers, which I don't know how much that would earn to waitressing in LA. Is computers in New Jersey the same as waitressing in LA? Is that the same?
Was she waitressing?
I thought she was waitressing.
Do you know what age? I don't know.
Maybe I've got a bit of context that you haven't got.
Anyway, they get to LA.
Yeah.
They get to their apartment block, and instantly Daniel LaRusso kicks open a gate using the karate kick, didn't he?
Yeah.
And smacks his mate Freddie Fernandez in the face, which just goes to show his violent nature. He's
just violent.
He's a right nightmare, isn't he? No, but this is
I
Freddie
think
Fernandez.
every film has this like thing about like, oh, I'm really sorry, I just like threw you into a lake. Now we're best friends. In real life, that would never happen. If somebody kicked over a gate into your face, you'd never want to see them again.
Well, they kicked a gate into his face, didn't it? And then Freddie Fernandez helps him with his suitcase up the stairs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In real life, you'd both be dying of embarrassment and never want to see. You'd mutually, non-verbally agree not to see each other again.
Yeah. So anyway, they move into the apartment block. Instantly, Freddie Fernandez says to him, "Oh, because you kicked that gate into my face, you want to come to a party?"
Yeah, which would happen every time you did that.
He goes to his beach party, and there's kids there from his apartment block, and then a group of girls on the other side of the beach. They're playing footy on the beach, aren't they? And then looking about. And then Daniel Russo starts chatting to a girl. A group of young lads on motorbikes comes down to the beach and start causing trouble. Causing mayhem. Causing trouble. But this is the group of boys that go to the Cobra Kai School of Karate. Johnny notices on the way down that his girlfriend, who actually he thinks is still his girlfriend, but his girlfriend thinks she's his ex-girlfriend, sees Daniel LaRusso talking to her, so he gets a right ump, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then...
I mean, can we talk about the fight scene and the fact that he just trips him up so many times that you just stop running. Just stop running. He's going to trip you up.
Plus, I mean, Daniel LaRusso, everybody learns something. I think one of the good things about this film is age. Not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's, it's not just, oh, this is a nice person and this is a bad person. They're all quite, and I think that's part of the reason why they had such a long intro with them driving across the school. It just goes to show all the layers that these people have. Because Daniel LaRusso is a bit of a dick.
Yeah. But then, like, not only that, but like Mr. Miyagi, very wise, lovely guy, makes a 14-year-old drink.
Yeah, giving him poos later on.
Yeah, when he's drunk himself.
So Johnny comes down to the beach with his group of pals.
Yeah.
Talks to Ali. And says, can we have a talk? And then she goes, no, I'm listening to my radio. So he turns the radio off and she turns it back on and they get into a fight. And then he breaks the radio. And then Daniel LaRusso comes over, gets involved for no reason whatsoever, gets into a fight with Johnny. Gets his head kicked in.
Yeah.
Even as Daniel LaRusso, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Because he's laying face down in the sand. And like all the kids on the motorbikes have gone. Ali comes over.
And,
do you want some help, Daniel? He goes, oh, just go away, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And then Freddie Fernandez and all the other kids go, oh, you loser, and then they all leave.
Everybody leaves him. Even Ali leaves him. Like Ali's friend comes over, and then Ali leaves him, and then he's just.
Yeah. So that's all within the first 6 hours of moving.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the first 24 hours of moving to this new. Yeah, he's got a black eye.
The only friend he's made has left him face down in some sand. Yeah.
And then he ends up going to school the next day and trying out for the footy team, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And within 10 minutes, he gets tripped over by one of the other.
They're all there, aren't they?
The Cobra Kai. They're all there.
Yeah.
Even Freddie Fernandez is there. And they go, oh, all right, Karate Kid. Because he got his head kicked in. And that's why the Karate Kid's not even a complimentary phase. That's them taking the mick out of him. Oh,
yeah.
Right, it's a
and
Karate
then they named the movie that. They made the choice to make the movie the insult name.
Yeah, the insult name,
Yeah.
again, Daniel LaRusso, he gets tripped up until he's playing footy and instantly starts a fight. He just gets up and goes over to lamp this kid and then gets beaten up.
Yeah.
You think, if you're that bad at fighting, stop starting fights.
Yeah. Are you actually the bully? Are you actually? Are people just standing up to you?
Yeah, because, there is an actual YouTube video of saying, is Daniel LaRusso the bully? It's quite, there's quite a few discussions. There's quite a few things.
Yeah, is he actually what's it called, the antagonist?
Yeah, is he the antagonist, Daniel LaRusso? Because, he actually comes along, starts mucking about with somebody else's girlfriend, starts fights when he's falling over on the football.
Yeah. And then somebody just pranks him a bit and then he goes to lamp.
Yeah, because even Johnny on the the motorbikes in the first scene when they're coming down to the beach.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, Johnny, do you want a warm one? Do you want a beer? And he goes, no, I'm a senior now. This is it. I'm not drinking anymore. I'm knuckling down. And then Daniel LaRusso starts a fight with him. Yeah. Daniel LaRusso, he's not the baddie in this film, but he is a bit of a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think films do that sometimes. I think films have definitely gotten better as well at doing that, and it's not a case of good and bad anymore. It's a case of, it was never a case of good and bad, but they used to portray it a bit like that, as in nowadays, villains have redeeming qualities, superheroes and things like that in films have moments of weakness and stuff. So there's so many things that, and it kind of explains that everyone's human, but it kind of takes me back to the time when I asked you, we'd gone to the wildlife, was it the wildlife park? And I asked you the question, are wallabies, is it wallaby or wallaby? we did this last time.
Oh,
are wallabies good or bad?
Wallaby's good or bad.
And I think about that a lot. Wallaby's good or bad?
Yeah.
I ask myself that question nearly every day. I think when I think about something really subjective, I think is it yes or no answer? Or is it a bit of a spectrum? And I think wallaby's good or bad. I don't know why. It just comes into my head.
A lot of back and forth as Daniel's going to school and flirting with Ali
and biking away from things.
Yeah, biking away from things, getting into fights, getting his head kicked in.
Yeah.
Which all comes to a head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, it does get really horrible because there's one bit where he's having his tea with his mum in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Isn't he? For some reason, they leave the restaurant and then Daniel LaRusso's just cycling on a mountain path.
Yeah.
While his mum drives home.
Yeah.
And all the Cobra Kai boys come along, and then they push him down a massive
cliff.
That
was abuse. That was, what is it called? Grievous bodily harm.
Yeah, it was attempted murder.
Yeah.
Pushing down a massive hill, and then he throws his bike in the bin.
Yeah, he throws it in the big bin outside, doesn't he?
Yeah. But Mr. Miyagi, who is the apartment complex maintenance man, isn't he? And he finds Daniel.
It's a pretty crap apartment complex maintenance.
He's a bit of a crap apartment complex maintenance man.
Yeah.
Because he just spends all his time trimming bonsai trees, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But they strike up a friendship, don't they, Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi?
Can we talk about a weird line that he said there? He said something about you're young honey and you need something or other, not an old prune or something. You're not dating. I don't know what specifically he said, but it was a bit weird, and I remember feeling that was the way he said it was really weird.
Yeah, it's one of his mystic phrases now. I can't remember.
Mystic phrases. I get what they were trying to portray in Mr. Miyagi and things like that, but I think there were some things that he'd said and done that I was that's a bit odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that they've got their friendship, haven't they? And they build.
They got their friendship. Mr. Miyagi's teaching him how to trim bonsai trees and grow bonsai trees and look after them, and he gives him one as a present. If I was a child, and then the maintenance man who's a little bit weird and spends a lot of time on his own strikes up a friendship with a teenage boy, you think, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
That's what I mean. It's a bit
Yeah, if I was Daniel LaRusso's mum, I'd be a bit...
Yeah, vulnerable young boy that's just moved, that's now hanging out in this guy's apartment all the time. What's going on over there?
And this is the thing, the whole film takes place in 3 months age.
Yeah.
because they move into LA in like September, and then it's October, isn't it? Because then there's a Halloween fancy dress disco, and Daniel LaRusso sat at home with Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi says, "Are you not going to Halloween?" That's when he says that you need the young honey.
Yeah,
to catch,
that was it. You need the young honey.
So he says, "Why aren't you going to the fancy dress disco?" And he says, "Oh, I don't want to be. I want to be invisible." So Mr. Miyagi makes him a fancy dress costume, and it turns him into a shower. A bit of a famous thing from the film, the shower. Fancy dress outfit.
Is it?
So, yeah, it's like a really famous thing from the film. Loads of people pick up on the shower, and it's been quite a thing, and it pops up in popular culture all the time.
I didn't know
the shower.
That. The only shower I can think of is like Psychos.
Again, he's just been a complete dick.
Yeah.
Because the head bully is rolling a joint in a toilet cubicle, and Daniel Russo gets a hose pipe and trenches him. You think, flipping heck.
It's a lot,
learn your
isn't it?
lesson. Yeah.
Just go home.
Stop being a dick, then you won't get beaten up all the time. Anyway, so he runs off.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, all the bullies who were skeletons chase him home.
They don't do a very good job of chasing him, though, do they?
Well, they get all the way to Daniel LaRusso's house. They get to the apartment complex, and he gets to there's a big fence, and he leaps up to climb over the fence, but he doesn't make it, and they pull him down, and then they stick his head in again. Doing all the karate,
again. This film's like 60% head kicking, and like 40% montage, and then I've forgotten how much percent. Well, that's all my percent in it. What did I say? 60 and 40.
60,
I've used
40,
it. I've used it all up now, so that's it.
And just as they're about to deliver the killer blow, a shadowy figure leaps over the fence from the apartment block side and kicks all the bullies' heads in.
I have to admit, I was kind of expecting Mr. Miyagi to have like some really funky kind of moves and like do some really. He just like kicked him in the nuts and the face and stuff. He was like fighting really dirty. I went to Harriet and went, he's fighting proper dirty.
But the thing is, so Daniel LaRusso, he runs to the fence, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he couldn't climb over it fast enough, and then Mr. Miyagi has to leap over and climb the fence from the other side. So I think, all the bullies on the floor are all going, not being able to get up. So he picks Daniel LaRusso up, and I'm thinking, how's he going to get him over the fence now? He just opens it. Just opens it.
Yeah.
What the
So he leaped over it twice and then just walked through.
Yeah. So why didn't Daniel LaRusso just open it?
Again, I didn't notice that bit. Yeah, because then he could have just gone through the gate.
Yeah, he could have just gone through the gate. And locked himself in his house, but no.
Yeah.
No.
But no.
After that big kick in, we're an hour into the film.
I know.
Where Daniel LaRusso says to Mr. Miyagi, "Oh, who did all that karate? You saved me." And he went, "Well, I did." And he says, "Oh, will you teach me karate?" And he goes, "No." So we're like nearly an hour into the film.
Yeah.
He still hasn't been learning. He still hasn't started learning karate yet. So him and Miyagi go to the Cobra Kai karate studio.
Yeah.
So they can talk to the sensei to try and stop them beating up Daniel LaRusso, and that's where they come upon the idea of Daniel LaRusso taking part in the karate competition that's going to happen in December. Until that happens, then there's a truce between them, isn't there?
Yes.
No more fighting, more beating each other up.
They did this truce, and then he goes on his training montage, doesn't he? And he does all these things with Mr. Miyagi. Well, it's a slow, and then it goes like into a montage.
Well, it's not really a montage because it's like 40 minutes.
Because it's long, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's just him training. But like they wouldn't have been beating him up anyway because he wouldn't have been like in their face like he was because he was doing all this training. So they did this like contract so he would be beaten up, and then he was like hanging about in rivers and like washing cars. Like they wouldn't have gone beaten up.
No, he wouldn't have got beaten up because he was too busy.
Yeah. Also, I thought that, obviously, I've always heard the wax on, wax off. And I always thought that was windows, and I have no idea why. And I was like, oh, he's got in the car. So that was a bizarre realisation moment for me.
Yeah, so Miyagi does agree to train him then, doesn't it? And that's the first thing he does, doesn't he? he comes round, right? Come round tomorrow morning to our house.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. He gets him clean his cars, doesn't he?
That was really Yorkshire. That is like, just for context, that is not how Mr. Miyagi said that. Go round to our house by 6 o'clock.
Come round our house at 6 o'clock and clean some cars. So he spends all day putting wax on with one hand and wax off in the other hand with a circular motion. And then the next day he comes along and then he has to sand the floors on all his decking.
Yeah.
And then the next day he has to come along and paint the fence. And then he gets him to paint his house. And then eventually Daniel LaRusso gets proper fed up, doesn't he? Yeah. And says, "Oh, right, when am I going to actually learn some karate? I've just done up your whole house for you. Yeah. Done all your fences, your decking, your house, and cleaned all your cars for you. This ain't fair." That's when Mr. Miyagi gets him to do all the moves. He's actually been training him the moves.
Surely you'd get that. Surely by doing all of this, you'd understand what you're doing.
Well, no, because I remember watching it for the first time and it blowing my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
How old were you?
32.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me as well. We had a neighbour once at the old house, and my mum had we got some plants in the front garden. We went on holiday, and she never asked him to water them or anything like that. Anyway, watered them. We got on a cruise. We were gone for like 14, 15 days. And he'd watered these plants the whole time. And he was like, "Well, I've been watering your plants, Julie, but they're not changing." He was like, "But they've not died, and they still look ace." And she was like, "They're plastic. They're not real."
Yeah, but I also know, because your mum told me this, that she would go out in the dead of night so the neighbours wouldn't see and change the plants, the plastic plants, according to the season. So she'd take the spring.
That's dedication.
So there'd be like fake daffodils in the spring, and then
did she have them at each like life chapter as well, like bulb and then like stalk and then like flower?
No, just one day at the start of spring there'd just be daffodils, and then the start of summer the daffodils would just change and there'd be some other summer flowers, and then there'd be autumnal flowers.
That's something I'd do. That I've definitely taken after my mum with that. I'd definitely do that.
So Miyagi is teaching Daniel karate, then, isn't he? And he does do all this stuff. But it's really nice because you see their relationship growing, don't you? And they become, and that's when he says, "Oh, you're the best mate I've ever had," and Daniel says, "Yeah, you too." Part of the reason why this film takes so long is because it is all about those relationships. It is a relationship between Miyagi and Daniel. It's really nice, isn't it? Because one of the lines that he says, "Daniel, karate here."
Yes.
He points to his head.
Here.
Doesn't he? Karate here.
Yeah.
Karate here. And he points to his heart, doesn't he? Yeah. And he says, "Karate, not here." Yeah. And he points to his pants. I'm thinking, what does that mean?
I thought that. I thought, what is he actually trying to say here? Is he thinking...
What's he trying to say there?
Yeah.
Heart is in your head in your heart, but not in your pants.
I actually thought he was pointing to his lower abdominal, and I don't know why I assumed that. You know, like here, but not here. Like,
I thought he was gonna like point to his fist and say it's not in your head.
I thought that,
head
like,
and your heart, not in your fist.
Yeah.
But when he pointed at his pants, it's not in your karate's not in your pants.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't try this in the bedroom, is what he was trying to say.
Yeah, don't. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Don't use karate in the bedroom.
Maybe that's how his wife died.
Which that is actually a really sad scene. Actually, it happens a little bit later, doesn't it? It's quite a profound moment in the film. It's really beautiful. Well, it's not beautiful, it's harrowing.
Yeah.
Actually. But we'll come to it in a minute. So there's a big karate training thing, isn't there?
Yes.
And like you say, one of the things he does is he takes him out on a boat and teaches him balance on a boat, doesn't he? And that's when Mr. Miyagi finds the world's funniest joke, which I'm gonna bring it into my stand-up routine, because I've never seen anybody laugh at something so much in my entire life. Was when Mr. Miyagi shakes the boat to knock Daniel into the water.
Yeah.
And he says, "Daniel, son, all wet behind the ears. And then he rolls around, literally rolls around laughing like nobody has ever laughed at anything before. Like he's invented laughter.
That reminds me of the time that we got to Venice. Actually, it was the same time we were away with the plant watering, and if you've ever heard of Venice, you might know they've got like gondolas, which are like boats that like a mode of transport, and they go down the water routes. Pulled up at like I don't know what you'd call it, but where you get off the boat. And I got out. You've got to like hold on to there's like a wooden pole, and then there's like wooden slats, and you hold onto the wooden pole. You step out of the boat and you step onto the wood. So I went first, then my mum, and then I don't know, gondola driver. I feel like that's the wrong thing to say. But what's the verb?
I think it's gondolier.
Right, I've never thought of that. The gondolier got out of the gondola. And my dad was still on, and I think he was helping my dad out, but the gondola started to like circulate away in the tide. And if you know my dad, he's got quite long legs, and he ended up, honestly, I don't know how he managed to stay upright, but we thought he was going to go. I've never watched somebody laugh. Probably the only instance I watched somebody laugh like Mr. Miyagi laughed was my mum watching my dad trying to get out of this boat.
Doing the splits.
Doing basically the splits in his holiday gear.
And so and there's your mum rolling around on the promenade.
I think she nearly wet herself. I think she was quite. Don't think she was far off. I think there is quite a lot of humour in this film. I don't feel like it's too heavy. You know, like there are some moments that are really quite deep, but it wasn't that. It wasn't too heavy of a film.
The actor that played Miyagi.
Yeah.
Was a stand-up comic.
Really?
Pat Morita. He was a stand-up comic, and then he was he nearly didn't get the part because his biggest role before was he played the owner of the diner in Happy Days. Did you ever watch Happy Days with the Fonz?
No.
He picks up his girlfriend and they go to golf and stuff.
Yeah. Which
is like an amazing place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is like a big massive, just like a big massive arcade.
Yeah.
They go on like motorboats, like air hockey.
Yeah.
Mini golf. And do so much stuff. They must have been there for days. But do you know what? It reminded me of Jimmy Tissue. Dear listener, Jimmy Tissue was the name given to my father, who is Harriet's granddad.
Yeah.
And whenever we would go any place like that, which wasn't that often because Jimmy Tissue was tight, if he said, can we have some money to go on them boats? And he'd say, oh, how much is it? And we'd say, oh, you get 10 minutes on a boat and it's £5. And he'd go, 10 minutes for £5? Well, son, that's £60 an hour. You can't earn that much. You're not doing that.
What's it work out what their income was?
It'd work out like the hourly rate and stuff. And if it was more than you could earn, you weren't allowed to do it.
I like that. Do you know what? That might save me money in future. That philosophy right there. I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, if it's more than what your hourly rate should be, then don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, that's what you do all the time. Oh, no, you can't earn that much. Not doing that.
Do you want to go on a tractor ride for £2 for 5 minutes? Hang on a minute.
Yeah, but he'd calculate it in a flash. It was fast. It wasn't the most academic, but his maths on hourly rate was boom.
I'm fine.
Yeah, he was like Alan Turing. Dad, can I have some money for the go-karts? How long do you get? You get 3 laps.
Yeah.
How long's a lap? Don't know, about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Well, how much is it? It's £7. So I got, right, 2 minutes, 6, that's £7. That's £1 a minute, son. No.
Yeah. No. I think it's a really universal experience, like wanting to spend money on things like that, and then adults thinking, "Oh my God, I'm getting so ripped off."
So anyway, after they go to golf and stuff, he ends up falling out with Ali because he goes to pick her up for a date after his birthday, and goes to meet her outside the country club at 9:30. She's late. Oh, I suppose that's one thing that we haven't mentioned, is that Ali's from the rich part of town, and she and Daniel LaRusse
Yeah,
from
they're
the
like
poor part of
opposite.
town.
Yeah, they're opposite classes, aren't they?
Yeah. So he goes to meet her. It's late because she's having tea at the country club. So he, instead of just going in or knocking the door or waiting a bit longer, he sneaks in through the kitchen.
Yeah.
So he sneaks in through the kitchen and sees her through the kitchen doors, and it just so happens that she was having a dance with her dad, and then Johnny comes along, and then they end up dancing together, and then Johnny sees Daniel LaRusso through the kitchen window, so he snogs Ali, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And Daniel LaRusso sees her, and then throws a load of spaghetti on himself. I don't know. He bumps into a waiter,
much of it. It goes over all
there was
over
so
him,
much spaghetti.
all over the waiter. They're covered all over with food.
So much spaghetti.
It's like you when you eat your beans in your magic arc.
It was everywhere, yeah. And he had a white top on and white trousers. I mean, who wears white trousers?
Yeah. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, so after that, then Daniel LaRusso sort of keeps low profile. He stays away from Ali, and they don't really talk much, and he just focusing on his training. And he goes to see Miyagi late one evening, and Miyagi's been drinking. It's the anniversary of their marriage, or the anniversary of his wife's death?
I was going to say it's their anniversary, but I don't know which. I don't know which anniversary.
Either way, he was obviously going through a thing because his wife had died, and as a result of giving birth to their son, they both died. Miyagi's wife and son both died. But the horrible thing was they died while Mr. Miyagi was away fighting in World War II.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew about the Japanese internment camps in the States.
No, I didn't.
Well, it's a really, really horrible racist thing. What they did was that because they were fighting against the Japanese as part of World War II, they rounded up all the people certainly on the west coast of America. These are American citizens.
Are you about to say that are of that ethnicity?
Yeah.
Oh my lord, right. Yeah, I see.
Internment camps, basically concentration camps.
Yeah.
And there was no medical care there or anything. So
is that where his wife was then? Is that why he says no medic? Does he say no medic or no? He says no medic. No medic attendant.
No medic was around.
Yeah.
Or there's no medical care. No.
Yeah, no medical care. So obviously when she gave birth, she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I understand that now.
That's why. So he's heavily conflicted, isn't he? Because he's away fighting a war for the country that he's a citizen of.
Yeah.
And yet that country locks up his wife and unborn child in a
I feel like that was
camp.
obviously something really significant, but we only seen one small scene. I feel like that could have been a little bit more brought into the storyline.
Maybe, but they already put so much in there, I think.
Yeah. I do feel like the film is too long. I feel like I don't know where specifically it's too long, apart from obviously the first scene. But I don't know where it's adding this time on. I don't know if there's a lot of beating up, whether that could have been done in a quicker time frame.
They're going to the tournament next.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, because the tournament's only the last but it's not very long.
Bit very much
itself.
like Rocky, isn't it, in that format?
Well, this film is basically Rocky for kids.
Do you know what? Yeah.
Because it's by the same director.
Is
it? The same director.
That would make a lot. It does have a similar feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I couldn't pinpoint what it is.
Well, it is the same story almost, except Rocky focuses on family, doesn't it? And how Rocky can't.
Yeah. Family and community.
He knows he needs people around him. Family and community, and Karate Kid's not really.
It's more about having internal peace and
and balance, and I think a lot of it is about trauma and past traumas and things, which is why you got Miyagi and his past trauma and how he deals with it with his bonsai and his meditation and
trauma does make you
reflection.
stronger, doesn't it? I mean, in any kind of thing you go through in life, it teaches you something, whether it's patience or whether it can literally be anything. But I think everything that happens, and sometimes it can be really bad things, they happen and they make us a lot stronger and they allow us to deal with things and grow from them.
I don't entirely agree with that because you got the Cobra Kai boys who experience a lot of trauma at the hands of their sensei because
yes, I see what you mean.
The Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That I think trauma from, if a lot of what you know is trauma, it becomes a quite different, doesn't it? You know,
they're essentially all they're essentially all bullied by that guy. But the guy that is their sensei, Kreese, who teaches them strike first, no mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was fought in the Vietnam War and he went through some terrible things as well.
Yeah.
So the director, I think, was trying to make another Rocky film, but Rocky for kids, which is why the beautiful thing about Rocky is the build-up and his relationship with Adrian. And the fight is almost not needed. Well, it sort of is, but it isn't at the end.
Yeah.
And I think they tried to do that with this, with Karate Kid.
Yeah.
And I think it could have been more about the tournament at the end and less about the things with him and Ali and all that.
I'd agree, actually, especially because it's a little bit more childlike. Yeah, there could have been a little bit more speedily. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, it could have been. It could have been
they could have
a little bit quicker. Better. Yeah, better. Yeah, as I put it, chronologically, speedily, and as you put it, pace.
Yeah, it could have been edited and paced a lot better. So they're going to the tournament, don't they?
They do.
And what is it with underdogs and tournaments, H?
Yeah.
We realise that Mr. Miyagi, Daniel, Ali, and Daniel's mum know nothing about karate tournaments because they don't know any of the rules, they don't know anything. So you'd think if you were going to turn up and you didn't know all these things, you'd get there like early, wouldn't you? If that was me, I'd be there at like 8 o'clock in the morning, knocking on the door, or even learn about it, or just get there on time. But they're late. You think, what were you doing?
Yeah, that's quite true.
They're turning late, and they actually they're basically running in. And as soon as they run in the building, they go, "Oh, it's your first fight."
In fact, they both do that, don't they? Yeah, in both Rocky and To be fair, that's a bit how my life is. You walk in, oh, it's fight time. Oh, okay. Yeah. One thing I want to ask about this fight is a kick to the face something that's allowed. Because even in the 80s, like I can almost say for certainty, knowing nothing about karate, that a kick to the face is not an allowed maneuver. Surely.
Well, this is one of the things in the films, isn't it? Because as they're speedily running towards their first fight, Ali, who all of a sudden knows the rules, says, "Oh, you get a point for punching the chest."
Point above the waist, however,
hits above the waist.
Yeah.
But then there's a few times in the film where somebody gets a punch to the face. They go, "Oh, that's a legal punch to the face."
Yeah.
But it seems to be it's only illegal when it suits the story.
Yeah.
Because Daniel wins the thing with a kick to the face.
Yeah.
But there is one point where Johnny punches him in the face, and they go, "Oh no point there. That's a legal punch to the face."
Yeah. What? Yeah, that's quite a bad day for his opponent, that, isn't it?
So the tournament goes through, and Daniel winding his way through his opponents. The Cobra Kai karate school, which is Kreese, who's their sensei, who is a nasty piece of work in it.
Yeah. And
the Cobra Kai boys, so this is Johnny and his pals, who are Dutch.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Tommy, and Bobby. And, well, the only one of them gets a surname, and that's Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown, yeah.
And actually, the guy that plays Dutch is Steve McQueen's son.
Who's Steve McQueen?
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen.
Remember who you're talking to.
But Dutch is the one with the bouffant hair who's like really wild. He's really crazy.
Yeah.
So there's Dutch and Jimmy and Johnny. They're all like really mean, and they're working through their opponents and showing no mercy and beating them all up. And the second best fighter in the Cobra Kai is Bobby Brown.
Bobby
and
Brown.
all the way through the film, Bobby Brown is the one that's showed the most compassion. He's the one that's, when it's been, when they've been kicking Daniel's head in, he's the one he's the one that's been going, all right, Johnny, he's had enough. Calm down.
Stop it now.
Stop it now. That's enough. So they get to the semi-finals, and it's Johnny Lawrence against some other guy, and Daniel LaRusso against Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
And Kreese, the sensei for Cobra Kai, says to Bobby Brown, right, take him out, injure him, sweep, do his leg.
Sweep to the leg, yeah.
And Bobby Brown goes, no. He said, I can take him. I want to fight this guy. And he goes, no, nobble him. And he goes, but I'll get disqualified.
Yeah.
And he goes, don't care. No mercy. Do it. Instantly.
Yeah.
Regrets it, doesn't he? Daniel LaRusso's lying on the floor in loads of pain.
Yeah.
Because he's like nearly broken his leg, and Bobby, bless him, he's like on the floor going, I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
It's a big point of influence, that, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
The power that people can hold over other people and their influence.
Well, exactly, yeah, bullies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
Daniel LaRusso then is in the final against Johnny, but he has to be taken to the locker rooms. And the organisers say, right, you got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or else Johnny and Cobra Kai win the tournament, and that's it. Not, oh, well, the other person, he'll come and fight, or this, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it's like, no, if you...
yeah.
Yeah.
Not better in
if you don't come
15
out and
minutes
fight,
from your broken leg, then...
Daniel says, oh, do you think I could have won it? And he goes, it don't matter, does
Yeah.
it? Win, lose, don't matter. You
It
got
don't
here and you
matter.
did it, and you showed up, and you proved your point, and you did well.
Yeah.
Bit like Rocky, really. If it
Yeah.
had have ended there, it would have been a really good Rocky, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Mr. Miyagi
But then...
does his... how am I going to get balance if I lose
Magic
now?
hands,
if
yeah.
I don't fight in the final. So Miyagi does that thing, doesn't he, where he claps his hands together and rubs him. So Daniel goes back into fighting the final fight, and he does the crane technique, which is what he saw Miyagi doing on the beach. He never actually taught him it, did he? But you could see it.
Which surely has no, durability and balance to it.
But what's really great, I think, is the acting on
Yeah.
the two fighters. I think the two actors
Yeah.
that play Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso, you can see
Yeah.
the fear in their eyes. You can see them. I think it's really, really great. And then you got the music, because Bill Conti did the music for the film.
There was a song come on, and I love the song, and I've forgotten what song it was. That's really going to
Oh,
annoy
it's
me.
the best. It's You're the Best Around.
No,
You're the
it's
best
not.
around. Nothing's ever gonna bring you down.
I'm going to
You're
have to
the
look it
best
up. It's
around.
not.
It is. That's the best song. And do you know what, H? That song was written for Rocky as well.
What?
It was written for Rocky 3.
It was, I'm sure it was a song by,
You're the best around.
I hope I'm not pronouncing this wrong, but Slugy and the Banshees.
Susie and the
Susie
Banshees.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Was it not like Spellbound or something?
Nope. They fight. There's one bit where Daniel punches Johnny in the face and gets a point for it, but makes his nose bleed.
Yeah.
So he goes off to the side, and Kreese gives him some first aid treatment, which is basically rubbing the blood off his nose with his thumb.
Yeah.
And he says, right, do his leg in. And he goes, what?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, do his leg in, then you win. But then it gets the final point, doesn't it? And Daniel does a crane move and kicks Johnny in the face, which is not an illegal move.
Face.
And nobody knows why.
Yeah.
And he wins the tournament, doesn't he? And
Yeah.
again, at the end, the actual trophy was given to him by Johnny. He takes the trophy off the tournament guy, doesn't he? And says, hey, LaRusso, you're all right.
Yeah.
Here you go. Well done.
Yeah.
And then the film ends, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what did you actually think of it, H? What's your opinion of the film?
I don't think it was a bad film. I think it was long. Would I watch it again? No. Was it my kind of film? No. Was it a bad film? Also, no. That's about as far as my opinions go.
Right. Oh, well, my opinion is, was it too long? Perhaps.
And I do not have a clue how you've managed to talk about it for an hour and 10 minutes that you are going to have to cut down into 20 minutes.
I know. Oof. Anyway, I love this film, H. It is very definitely Rocky for kids. It's rousing. Yeah. Oh, it makes me cry at the end when he kicks him in the face.
That's ridiculous.
But I think because I think
What
it's
do you mean?
I think it's to do with the fear in their eyes when they're looking at it,
I
and they
don't
look
think
absolutely terrified.
I don't think it was
And
that
I think it's
powerful.
the music. I think it's the score. I think it's everything about it.
No,
I think it's Rocky.
No.
But I think the ending should have been different, because the ending just shows Mr. Miyagi, doesn't he, smiling and going, "Yeah, well done." But the start of Karate Kid 2, H.
Yeah. Oh my lord, the second one.
The opening scene for Karate Kid 2 is them walking out with the trophy, and they walk out into the car park, and Kreese is there, the baddie from Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Johnny's going, "I got second place." And Kreese, he takes his trophy, smashes it, and throws it away.
Oh my lord, yeah.
And he beats up all the kids from Cobra Kai. He beats them all up. You know, all the kids he's been bullying for all these years. Smacks them all in the head. And he gets Johnny in like a headlock, and he's going to kill him.
Oh my lord, that's a chaotic start to a film.
Yeah, so Miyagi...
And it's not that deep.
Well, so Miyagi goes over to him and goes, what are you doing? And Kreese says, "Hey, stay over, he's none of your business." So then he goes to punch...
The neck is the film about his... Is it like a redemption?
Well, no, not at all. Oh. But what happens is Kreese goes to punch Miyagi, and Miyagi moves to the side, and he punches through a car window, and he smashes his hand up, and he goes, "Huh?" And then he goes to do it with his other hand, and smashes another car window because Miyagi dodges it. So he's got like he's like broken both his hands and covered in blood. Yeah. And then Miyagi, Miyagi like grabs him by the throat, and he goes to karate chop him in the neck. And instead of chopping on his neck, he goes, "Ah, yeah," and he goes, "Boop," and like squeezes his nose to like just to ridicule him. It like releases those other kids away from their trauma then, because they can see that they don't have to be bullied by him anymore, which is, I think, what should have been the final message of the film.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That should have been in.
Yeah. So we said we'd try and make this shorter by not rambling on for 20 minutes at the start, but we've actually gone longer than we normally do, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll edit that down. So, anything more to say about Karate Kid H?
I don't think so. No, I think, like I said, I think my opinions on it are fairly short, to be fair. Not loads going on, but also not bad for... I'd be happy to give it a Gen X win.
Yeah, I think it deserves a Gen X win. Because not only... Is it
film,
a good film? It's a classic film, and it is mentioned a lot. And people still say wax on, wax off.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. In honour of this classic film, H, there's a new test theme tune. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
It's a test around the film that we just watched, which was a Karate Kid. It's a test about the film that we just watched, which was a Karate Kid. Right, H.
Yeah.
So... Mr. Miyagi's philosophical sayings from this film reminded me of another film where another character comes in and says lots of philosophical sayings, like faux wisdom. And that is a character called the Sphinx from the film The Mystery Men. So this quiz, H, is Miyagi or Sphinx?
Wow, okay, yeah. I'd written everybody's name down as well, so I'd get the names right. No, ask me the names.
Oh, why do you know all the names from the Cobra Kai?
Nearly. I wrote a few down. I wrote 4 down, so I knew that I'd have enough.
No, so this is Miyagi or Sphinx. So, question 1. He who questions training only trains himself at asking questions. Is that Miyagi or Sphinx?
I think that's Miyagi.
No, that's Sphinx.
Oh, I'm not going to be good at this.
Question 2. To learn my teachings, I must first teach you how to learn.
Is that Sphinx?
Miyagi or Sphinx? That is Sphinx.
Is it Sphinx?
Okay. Yeah. 3. When you doubt your powers, you give power to your doubts.
I think that's Sphinx.
It's Sphinx. You're 2 for 3, H. Question 4. When you can balance attack hammer on your head, you will head off your foes with a balanced attack.
Now, I really want to say it's Miyagi, but there's a trend here following Sphinx, so I'm going to follow my heart, my gut feeling, which is Sphinx.
It is the Sphinx. They were all the Sphinx.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, so H, you were 3 for 4 there.
I
Final
know.
question, H. What snack did I eat whilst watching The Karate Kid?
When did you eat it? When did you eat it? When did you watch it?
I watched it this weekend, H. I was on my own, home alone.
Easter egg.
Easter
It's Easter.
egg. It is Easter. I did.
Yeah. Do you know, I always remember
Cadbury's cream egg.
when I was younger, I remember waking up and thinking, oh, Uncle Stuart's coming, he's bringing me lots of Lindt chocolate bunnies. Because you used to hide them around the house, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wake up and I think, oh, is Uncle Stuart going to be here? Christmas as Santa.
You failed the test, H. Yet again. You don't get your
Yet
pound.
again. That was
again.
really mean, that.
What do you mean?
Yet again.
Yet again. Right, it's time for this. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review. It's Burger Stews, Burger Review.
Eating a burger, then he marks it out of 5.
He's eating a burger and he's marking it out of 5. This week, H. I've gone. Actually, I don't know what I've gone. What have I gone?
Well, it's all gone bizarre this week.
This week, H, I've gone jolly.
You've gone jolly?
Yeah, I've gone jolly.
Why you gone jolly?
Because I went to Jollibees.
Where's that?
Well, I thought they were a big chain, Jollibees, because
No,
I've
I've
seen
never
them
heard
in
of
loads
them.
of cities when I've been like working away. I've seen the like one
Saying
in
that it's
Nottingham.
Wakefield
seen
when
them
you
in
kind of come
Cardiff.
across fast food chains. There's never one in Wakey.
Yeah. But then since then, I've looked it up actually, and there's only about a dozen in the UK.
Oh,
So
wow.
they just happen to be where I've been. But they're a Filipino, so they're massive in the
Oh.
Philippines. Yeah, they do like spaghetti and pasta and chicken and burgers. So I had a Jollibee classic, 2 out of 5 H.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah, it was terrible. It had curry ketchup, that was good. It had some good pickles and good onions, but everything else was poor H. It had a limp bun. The burger was just no flavour to it. It was worse than McDonald's. And it tasted cheap, but it wasn't
Yeah, it gets that like rubbery feel, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Plasticky, yeah,
Yeah,
processed.
yeah.
Oh,
cheap. Not good. Not good. So
Disappointing.
Jollibees, 2 out of 5, yeah.
Jollibee's 2.
Jollibees, 2. Not even that good.
Yeah, I
not
think
bad.
that's nearly one of the worst. Yeah, it's not great.
No, down there. Bottom of the pile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bottom of the pile.
So, anyway, H, I think we're all done.
Yeah,
Apart from watching Telly Bean.
I'm not caught up with Last One Laughing, so we can't talk about it.
All right, okay, because I watched it yesterday.
I've accidentally gotten into maths. Now I haven't been
Oh.
actually watching it, but Mum's been watching it, and when you pass by the TV and you're like stood there for like an
Yeah.
hour.
Stood there for an
Yeah,
hour.
I've like got proper drawn into it. And I do have to say this year there's just so much bullying back and forwards
Really?
and just it's really awful. It's like I've never seen anything like it, but I think where we're up to in the UK they've not quite been called out for their kind of behaviour yet. But yeah, I think it's an all round bad situation going
Oh,
on.
no.
Yeah.
Crikey, that's
So
not good.
it's quite it's very dramatic though. Like for what maths is. It's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think there's been any other TV than that really.
Oh. Well,
There
we
was
finished.
something I wanted to say though,
Uh-oh.
which was about I have noticed that I am behind schedule on the AI track. So what I mean by this is I had 2 clients in the salon, both between the ages of 50 and 60, who one of them was on their phone looking at these chicks for Easter in these little raincoats. And she was like, oh, look how cute this is. And then she went, oh, but it's obviously AI. And and then the woman in the other chair went, yeah, that's obviously AI. And as I looked at it, I thought, it is. But I had no clue. I was fooled,
Really?
like, completely by these chicks in
No.
raincoats thinking they were real.
Turn
So,
into your mum.
yes. Yeah, officially. What about you?
We finished Poker Face.
Yeah,
which I think we talked about that last time. Yeah. And it's wonderful.
Is it?
Great piece of telly. Yeah,
Good.
It's really well done.
Is it a bit thriller-esque comedy? Is it?
It is funny. It's primarily not a comedy. It's a love letter to Columbo, is what it is. It's a love letter to the 70s.
Yeah.
But set in modern day.
Oh.
Yeah, contemporary.
Yeah, I do. I think I remember you talking about it roughly.
Yes, really great.
And then, we both need to catch up on Last One Laughing then. Or have you caught up?
I'm caught up.
Oh, no, so I need to catch up on Last One Laughing then.
You need to catch up with Last One, and you need to catch up with the Manosphere documentary, the Louis Theroux.
Yes, well, I've actually heard some things about the Manosphere online, even though I've not kind of watched it. And I've kind of heard some names. I kind of know what it's about now, but I do need to officially watch it. I do know that it is very much, obviously you've got this misogyny and just a whole lot of things to unpack. But one thing that a lot of people are speaking about on social media is the fact that these men that are preaching these certain values that are not values to younger audiences get home to their mums and their wives and are like completely the opposite. Which has been talked a lot about on social media, and I've seen that being commented on.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, we'll call this a night. H.
Yeah.
So how do people get in touch with us? And they should.
And they should. We have an email, mygenerationgap@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page, you started already. Right, Facebook, My Generation Gap. We have Instagram, My Generation Gap. Unfortunately, we don't have TikTok. Because we were permabanned. For talking about Doja Cat.
Is that what it was?
It was the Doja Cat talk. Yep.
Why?
Yeah. The only thing I could think of, and dear listener, I'd like you to see what you think. We'd spoken about Doja Cat and about the fact that we'd reviewed Knight Rider from the 80s.
Yeah.
Doja Cat then produced, a couple of weeks later, a song sampling Knight Rider, and it became big again. And I said, Doja Cat must listen to the My Generation Gap podcast. Obviously as a joke, but do you think TikTok took that as like misinformation?
No. You think?
No. But that was all that was said. So that they literally, there's nothing that could have been. So yes, such fun. But we've been permabanned for TikTok for saying that. So apologies.
Right. Yeah, so email us, get in touch, let us know what you think about the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Next show is going to be Banshees of Inisherin.
It's going to be what?
The Banshee of Inisherin. That's what I want us to do next.
Banshee of... I can't even pronounce that. I'll work on it for next week. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
All right. I've got to go. Love you.
Right, then.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.